If your idea of the dream boat is a pretty princess or a sleek sunsaker, then this is probably not the boat for you. You have to think of this boat as the aquatic equivalent of the Terminator from the James Cameron films. This is an unstoppable, invincible, indestructible thing which will take you across oceans without batting an eyelid. Our owner Peter, who's on board with us today, did just that very thing. So instead of the easy way out in shipping the boat back from where it was built in New Zealand, he brought it back on its own bottom and endured those tropical storms and great big chunks of water and ended up back at his hometown in Guernsey. Anyway, we're here to give you a full tour of the boat, so let's have a look around. I'm standing in what the builders call the great room, and I think it's great in both senses of the word. For me, its true greatness is actually the way it's been designed with these fantastic panoramic upright windows, and it gives the boat a real sense of safety because you can always see where you're going so incredibly well. Terrific view out for the crew and the helmsman at all stages. It's one of the very few boats I've been on where I don't feel the urge to go upstairs to get a better view because it's so good from down here. Glenn here is doing the cooking for lunch, so I'll ask him what he thinks of the galley.
There's two things, Dave, that I like a lot. First is the view you have while you're cooking. You're still engaged in nav and you're still engaged with the world. And the second is actually the way things flow through here, from the fridge to the storage, into the sink, into the trash, into the dishes, and then the storage for dishes. It's just everything flows through very nicely. It's been very well thought out.
The brains behind this series of boats, Steve Dashew, has decided that a wheel is largely irrelevant, and I would tend to agree with him. Having tried the little joystick control that is the substitute for the wheel and the bow thruster, I really don't see any problem with that at all. Now Steve's round-billed, slender forms are quite sort of sailing boat inspired, if you like, and going through the waves that we had here, which were up to, I suppose, about 4 meters at their very worst. The boat has a very sort of gentle, slowly rolling, bobbing motion. You can actually set up this boat to have a much harder motion if you tune the stabilizers to give it a more rigid motion, and the autopilot as well. It will remain rock solid, but Peter prefers that gentle motion. I think that's a really good motion to have when you're crossing oceans. It's a sort of very relaxing motion, quite soporific actually once you get into the rhythm of the boat. If, like Peter, you're crossing oceans and doing 12,000-mile trips, what you're not really looking for are lots and lots of small cabins. What you're looking for is a few very big, comfortable cabins. And this is the fore cabin here, the main cabin in the boat. There's another slightly smaller cabin back aft, and a tiny crew cabin as well. But this is the principal cabin, and I suppose the key thing is there's loads of space and just absolutely oodles and oodles of storage. I'm here in the aft part of the boat, just in front of the engine room. Got a nice sort of working area here with pilot books and a desk. Behind me we've got the skipper's cabin here, and to the left of me we have the guest cabin, obviously the skipper's cabin if there are no guests. Nice roomy, comfortable double cabin here. Some of the things you see here in this engine room you will be familiar with from the likes of Princess and Sunseeker, the better engineered mainstream production boats. Things like the reverso oil change system here. But when you get to this sort of level, when you're crossing oceans and you have nothing to fall back on, you not only need good engineering, you need a level of redundancy as well. And probably a really good example is the steering system behind me. There are 4 different ways of steering this boat. 2 completely independent hydraulic autopilot driven systems. 2 autopilots, 2 pumps, easy to switch between those 2. Should, heaven forbid, both those fail, there's also a manual system, which is a wheel which you can clip on at the helm position, which is again driven through a completely separate hydraulic system. Then if all 3 of those fail, you can revert to a good old-fashioned tiller, which clips onto the tiller head here, and you can steer from down here manually. As our little jaunt from Lymington to Alderney across the channel and then back again proved, there's really nothing whatsoever to stop you using this boat as just a conventional 9-knot cruising boat and doing short hops. And I think the great room in particular is something that I take over an awful lot of other saloons, and with their sort of steps and, you know, the views out which aren't quite so good. I think it works really well on that level. But that's not really what this boat is about. It's not a substitute for a Fairline or a Princess. This is a real boat for tough nuts who want to do ocean crossing and serious, intrepid cruising. Just like James Cameron's Terminator, this is a boat that will just keep going and going and going and will not stop and will not give up.